How did we find out you had a heart issue, and then what is dilated cardiomyopathy for those who don't know?
Well, I was 28 and I went to the doctors because I was feeling I had more palpitations, and they sent me off for a scan, a heart scan.
When you were going through those, and it's like week after week something happened. So how did you manage that mentally? What was that for you?
Well, for the first 8 years of being diagnosed, like I said, it didn't really impact me at all. But when I got ill, my youngest daughter was 8, my oldest was 12 at the time. So the 12-year-old, it was quite like an impressionable.
Frustrating part in terms of transitioning to the new you or redefining the new you. So what do you do on the day-to-day to improve on some of those areas?
Well, I try to have normality in the house.
And we'll make sure somebody's at home with a kid. So we were traveling, and one day we met at the airport for 30 minutes. We literally crossed paths at the airport, and we realized this is not a life. Because essentially, what are we living for? We're living for us and the family and everybody else we love. So we make sure that we spend more time loving our family, and those are the things we spend for.
I think most people say this about me. I don't feel sorry for myself. I never say why me. I just accept it and just get on with it. I never feel sorry for myself.
22, 23, around, my mom called me and she's like, well, my life is in 3 parts. I finished mine. The second one was with you guys, and now I'm ready for grandkids. So, you gotta prepare them for that. So you have maybe a few more years, but that's the next stage you have to be ready for. But you cannot control the daughters. They're 20-something now, Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Buba. So this is the Patient Voices or Living with Heart Disease. And we'll be talking today to Mel. Mel is videoing us all the way from London. Thanks for joining us, and I think she has a sidekick who will be Paul. Thanks for coming, Paul. So I remember meeting Mel online on Instagram, like many of us do now, and I think what kind of struck for me was you're always smiling. There's always a smile. I haven't seen a picture of you with no smile. I still have to go through it, but every time there's a smile, and even when you're not doing well, there's a smile. So that was really, for me, inspiring and motivating. So thanks for that, and thanks for sharing your story, and thanks for coming. For those who don't know you, including myself, can you please introduce yourself and tell us who's Mel and who's with you today? I see a few names, and you said your mom is here, so you can also tell us about some of the folks that are on the call with us today.
Okay, hi. Most of you know it's me, Mel, or my mum likes to call me Melly Mooks. That's her nickname for me. I've got my sister, who's Michelle Ingram, my mother-in-law, Melanie Field, my mum, Barbara Daniels, my best friend, Vicky Oakley, and my brother-in-law, Danny Field. So that's all I can see on the screen. I don't know if there's anybody else on there.
Yeah, and you have Anne Buckley, was my friend from Vermont next door. But I think we have everybody covered. Yeah, so we have.
Oh, there's Anne.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Saw the arm waving.
We met her already, so she's on the call. Welcome everyone. How did we find out you had a heart issue, and then what is dilated cardiomyopathy for those who don't know?
Well, I was 28 and I went to the doctors because I was feeling I had more palpitations, and they sent me off for a scan, a heart scan. But in the meantime, because it took a while for me to get the scan, I was pregnant with my second daughter. So when I went in to have the scan done, and then I got the results, I got a phone call the next day, so you better come in, we need to talk to you. So as I walked in with my bump, he's like, oh, okay. And then he told me that they didn't know whether the dilated cardiomyopathy was peripartum, the pregnancy dilated cardiomyopathy. So they monitored me, they weren't happy about the pregnancy due to the heart. It was quite a clinical pregnancy. We talked about cesareans and stuff like that, but she came early anyway. And I had her, and after about a year, they said, we need to put you onto medication now. We don't think it's related to the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And from 28 to 36, it was hardly noticeable. I didn't notice my heart failure at all. And then when I was 36, I had a tooth out, which got infected. And then I was rushed into hospital a few weeks later after that with congestive heart failure, and was told that I needed a heart transplant then, 10 years ago. I had they gave me some new drug therapy. I was sent home. They told me to come back for a right heart catheter in 8 weeks' time. And then remarkably, the drugs had done its job and I didn't need to be on the transplant list anymore. And I had another good 8 years. And then I had a hysterectomy 2 years before I had the LVAD fitted, and I think it was too traumatic for my body, and I think it kick-started the symptoms. But by the time I was taken into hospital 2.5 years ago, there was nothing more they can do. I went on to the urgent transplant list for 2 weeks, but they were scared of me having cardiac arrest, and also getting to the point where they might not be able to fit the LVAD because the right side of the heart was severely damaged.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I had the LVAD fitted. It was pretty touch and go in critical care for a few weeks, and then on the ward, and then sent home, and been plodding along ever since.
Wow, that's quite a change. You go through from being very active, living a life. You told me about traveling a lot, and then you also told me about Paul being in the Navy. So I can assume you're still very active, and you go from that and just everything standing still, and then it seems like you've been through a lot of some trauma. But I'm wondering, what is it like to and you have 2 daughters. What's the name of your first daughter?
Eleanor.
Eleanor, yeah. So you have Eleanor and Daniel. Gabriel. Gabriel, yeah. So you have the 4 of you, and I wonder, what is it like to be sick and have your kids around, and I wanted to know, I guess, what are some of the thoughts that go through your head at that moment? Besides, in my case, I would say I'm asking that because although I was very sick, but I was more concerned about my wife at the time, and about my son, who was very little. But at the same time, they motivate me to come back to fight. But I wanted to know, what was your state of mind at that moment when you were going through those, and it's like week after week something happened. So how did you manage that mentally? What was that for you?
Well, for the first 8 years of being diagnosed, like I said, it didn't really impact me at all. But when I got ill, my youngest daughter was 8, my oldest was 12 at the time. So the 12-year-old, it was quite like an impressionable age for her to really see what was going on. And I tried to have everything as normal as possible. I remember having all the family over at Easter, and then everyone going home, and I had to have the paramedics out because I was pushing myself too hard. I just wanted everything to go back pre being sick, and to make life normal. But sometimes I tried to protect them, but I didn't protect them, because when something did come, it was a shock for them, because I hid a lot from them, where I should have probably been a little bit more honest with them. And this time, I say I've been sick twice, because I was sick 10 years ago and then done well, and then obviously I've had the LVAD for 2.5 years. This time it's been a lot harder. Gabrielle was now 18, she was 16 when I had the LVAD fitted, and Eleanor was 20, she's 22 now. You can't hide it from them now. There's internet, there's Google, it's scary. But my next door neighbour said to me yesterday, oh, but at least you've got a family, that must help. And it does, but it's such an added worry, because I don't just worry for myself. You're worrying for them more than you worry for yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard because you see some people are single and going through this journey and they're concentrating purely just for themselves a lot of the time, which
Yeah.
is great. But when you've got children, especially, you just don't really take the time out to really process it yourself because you're so concerned about how they're feeling, how they're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I know that if I'm having a bad day, it affects Paul at work, it affects the girls, it affects my mum, my sister. And so I don't like to tell them sometimes when I'm not feeling very well because I don't want to ruin their day for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it like for Paul?
Yeah.
By the way, Paul, you can come into the picture,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
What was it like for you?
I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. It was just something that we needed to cope with. So we just got on with it.
Yeah.
So it's. I think generally when things are actually happening, as in the emergencies and so on, you just get on with it. It's afterwards, in the quieter times, when things have settled down, that you start thinking about things. But there's we just, the way I tackle it is that it is what it is. We've got to get on with it, and we just do the best we can.
I don't know about you, but my daughter said to me the other day, because she started counselling now, she said it always feels like you've got this feeling in the pit of your stomach, like you're unsettled.
Yeah.
That you don't feel settled. And I think the other day I said it to Paul, I wish that I said goodbye to the old Mel like more, because I didn't realise this journey that I was going to be on, and I wish I appreciated her.
Yeah.
And I wish I had said goodbye to her before I became on this journey, because I'm never going to be that Mel anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be, but I'm not going to be the new Mel with the transplant at the moment. I'm kind of in a limbo, like I don't know where I am, who I am at the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's the weirdest thing.
Now that she's saying, I'm thinking about, like, because you're in a transition and you have to, rebuild yourself, redefine yourself, but at the same time, you don't know, what are the new cards you're going to be dealt with in the future. I remember when I got diagnosed, and this is even before I knew my condition was congenital. But one of the things I did, I went for counseling straight right away. And I remember the therapist, what she did is she put me through like a mourning process. It's like, because what you're doing is, you part of you is dying, or the picture of you that is dying. It's not gonna. So she took me through that, and then you go through denying, not accepting all this stuff, like resisting it, and then I think I didn't know what she was doing, and I think it's only now that you're saying it that I really get it. She was forcing me to accept the situation sooner, and then she was telling me to keep doing the right thing, exercising and stuff, but like understand that nothing's gonna be the same again, and the second part was really also boundaries with regard to myself, so how to say no to myself. And the last point I think that relates to what you're saying is, I was very even now people still don't know how sick I am. They still don't know, because I tell people there's a difference between having a condition or having living with an illness and then being sick. So when I'm sick, I'm thinking I'm at the hospital, but outside we all have something. So in my head, that's how I started looking at it. But it was very hard to share with people, to tell people, okay, I'm sick now, stuff. So I can relate to the part where you try to protect them. But I also realize if you don't tell them anything, they just worry and they try to figure out what's going on. But if you tell them, they can probably help you a bit more.
But no one gives you a manual, do they? How to do this? My hospital, they're fantastic. They're like one of the best in the world. But you don't get offered counselling and emotional support. Yeah. So they go in and it's very clinical, but you don't get any help how to deal with the emotional part of it at all. And because the first year I had the LVAD, my consultants used to say to me, maybe find some blogs with people that are in the same situation as you. And for a year I didn't want to. And he said to me, why? And I said, because if I know how my brain works, if I go on there and someone's doing better than me at my stage, I'll be questioning myself, well, why am I not like that? Why am I failing this? And why am I, not, getting better at this? And then if there's other people that are worse off than me, I just assume that's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
So I disconnected myself from everything to do with transplant and LVAD life. I just did not want to know. And then gradually I started going out onto the Instagram, and you see people, and it's fantastic. It has a lot of benefits, but it also has, just the way my brain works, it's like, oh my God, if I get a transplant, I'm gonna get this wrong with me, and I'm gonna get that wrong with me. I find it hard to live in the moment. I'm a planner, and I don't like surprises. So it's really hard for me not to be, I don't know, not to know fixed what's going to go on in the future. And I think that's what I found hard, accepting this. I'm in a bit of the denial stage at the moment, because when I had my hysterectomy and when I got ill the first time 10 years ago, I just got sick, and then I was ill for a few months, and then I was fine. I was back to me. Well, this is not gonna be fixed the way it was before. And that's the hardest bit, because I just think, okay, I've got my LVAD, I'm going to get my heart transplant, and everything's going to go back to normal, but it's not. It's not going to be like that. And I'm in that kind of stage of denial at the moment. I don't understand how I'm going to be going forward.
It's a valid feeling, though, so I think it's, and denial, usually is negative for most people, but I don't think you should take it as a negative thing. It's your brain working with you, and and you guys will have that, you figure it out, and nobody can actually tell you or stuff. So your brain will have to take its time. But
I think it's a coping mechanism
exactly.
for me.
So this is how you cope, and the question is it healthy for you in the long run? Is it helping? Are you letting people help you around you, like are you letting your family know about it? Because sometime here now, I went through a phase where my wife will ask me all the time, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I'm always okay. Like if you ask me and stuff. So my father-in-law was like, "This guy will have 2 broken legs and it will still be fine." And in my head, that's how I feel like. But it's a process to to accept that, okay, this is really not going well and stuff. But I think as long as you let people help you, and then you have to understand you are not alone. You are not alone in this journey. Like, so that's the part already, and I think you can, you'll figure it out. But what do you think is well, you mentioned like seeing other people, and we mentioned coping mechanisms and some of the, I guess, frustrating part in terms of transitioning to the new you, or redefining the new you. So what do you do on the, let's say, on the day-to-day to improve on some of those areas?
Well, I try to have normality in the house. So like everything, I don't know, I just try to be the mum that I was before I got sick, and the wife I was. During the day, I store a lot and put it in the back of my mind, and I don't think about it during the day. And then when I go to bed, that's the hardest, when the lights go off and you see the lights lit up on your charging system and your main power unit, and all you can hear is the LVADs going, and then I get this sinking feeling going, oh crikey, this is real. But during the day, I'm a homemaker, and I love my family and I love my friends, and I don't have any hobbies really, just them. I just love spending time with my family and my friends. So I just bury myself in them really. I'm not like, there's people like you that are out there, transplant LVADs, that are advocates for us. I don't do that. I'm not an inspirational person like that. My inspiration is to try and give my family a peace of mind, that they see me doing my little pottering around in the house and the garden. That gives them peace, because that's who they know who I am. That's, and and that's who he is. And my sister's just come up on the screen now. I can see her.
Yes, because they don't agree with you. They think they're saying you're very inspirational. Oh, I love that hair. Michelle, you have to tell us. You have to tell us who that was, and he has to
That
say
was my
something.
sister's boyfriend.
Hi, boyfriend. You gotta talk to us.
Mark.
Say hi. Love it.
Mark's known me since I was. We went to school together.
Yeah.
So he's known me when I was healthy.
Yeah. So you see, but I think Vicky, I think Vicky have to explain to us a little bit more. Vicky said that you are very, very inspirational. And I think you are too. So hi Vicky, you wanna share a few words with us?
Hello Vic.
Hi.
Hello. Wasn't expecting to come onto the video, but I'll speak. But yeah, no, Mel, when you say you're not inspirational, you're so wrong. You're like literally, I might cry by saying it. You're amazing. So inspirational. And you should never doubt yourself. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Like, honestly, so you don't have to be going out doing what everyone else is doing. That's your thing. You're always comparing yourself against what other people are doing, and just living every day, looking after your family and everything is the most inspirational thing you can do.
Yeah.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vicky. I think that it's important to say that and for you to remember that. Obviously, when you see the pictures, we all look good. It's like when you take family pictures, you see the last picture, but we know all the drama and then all the craziness that happened before. So I try to put the good part there just to remind people that we live well, but it's a tough journey. So right now I'm about to do all of these calls like now because my family is traveling, so they're not here, and that means I have more free space. But I also do this because I know there were times I couldn't do anything. Like there was a time, many times actually, even recently, even yesterday, I was just resting the whole day, and I told people I was just. Sometimes it could be just mental, but there are days where I just don't want to see anybody or do anything. But when you have kids, obviously, I have small kids. They don't care. They're like, go play with me and stuff. But even them, they get it like when I'm not in the mood or when I'm tired or physically too. I remember there were days when I was first diagnosed, I just didn't accept that I was sick. I just didn't believe it. But I would go exercise or I'll go play foot. I was gonna say soccer, but you guys are you're British. I can say football. I'll go play football, and like let's say Sunday I'll go play football between 10 and 12 p.m. and I'll come back home and sleep the whole day. I'll just sleep. I couldn't do anything else. So obviously when you see that picture, you'll be like, oh, this guy is doing great. But all I have to do was those 2 hours of energy. But then it gets better. And then also, I think for me, is to and the reason I agree with Vicky is that you are inspirational in a way that you are making it, despite everything, you're making it work, and you're helping other people, and you inspire other people. So to me, what was important is to, for me to be creative, do videos like this, and this is very therapeutic for me. And then I do things like, I'll sketch out, try to design things, and I spend a lot of time with the kids, the boys who really, they keep me going. So, it gets better, but then now my challenge is to keep up with them. So I'm like, okay, I gotta exercise and, I'll run after them or walk after them and I take a few pictures, but I cannot keep up with them and I cannot run after them. But like that little bit is okay, and I used to exercise all day. I used to play basketball. I used to be everything. It was like physically there was no limit. But then now you walk 1 block, you're tired. So what I do is like, if I have to walk 1 block, I make it as much fun as possible. And then slowly you grow up and slowly, and like there's a lot of things you can do in the house. Like if you track your steps, your calorie level, I'm sure you burn a lot of energy in the house, keeping up, cleaning and stuff. I do that sometime and I watch my step count. It's like 3,000 steps, 4,000 steps. I didn't do anything. I was just in the house. Or sometimes I was so sick that 10 a.m. I'm exhausted, I sleep. And then over time, slowly I got up and put a dish away. I'll put a dish away, and that was like one job, and I was so proud of myself and, move on. So, and we're saying it not to say that, you shouldn't feel, you shouldn't feel frustrated and stuff, but that's not that would be a wrong reason to feel like you are not, you're struggling or anything. So it's and the best part, I think, that you reminded me, I'll stop in a moment, is that um you get to realize what's more important for you in life, and then you focus on that. And to me, that's really the goal of happiness. Like, so you're focusing on your family, and that's very important, and for me, I used to travel a lot with my wife. We used to, she would travel for work, I would travel for work or for other things. And there was a day, and we make sure somebody's at home with a kid. So we were traveling, and one day we met at the airport for 30 minutes. We literally crossed paths at the airport, and we realized this is not a life. Because essentially, what are we living for? We're living for us and the family and everybody else we love. So we make sure that we spend more time loving our family, and those are the things we spend for, and which takes a lot of energy sometimes. We have brothers and cousins and mother-in-laws and stuff that can be difficult, but you realize that it's all about love. So, and I think that's what you represent, and that's all the world. That's what life is about for us. It's that love. So
I just try to set an example for my daughter, especially the youngest one, because she's been diagnosed with the same genetic heart disease gene. And if she just sees me getting up and cracking on with the day and taking pride in what I do, then it's normality. And I just that's what I want her to, well, I want both the girls to see that until I have a bad day or I have to go to hospital, things are running normal. They're running smoothly. Mum's at home, got a good meal cooked for them. The house is tidy, and it gives them a sense of home. Because when I'm not at home, it's like a lonely feeling for Paul and for the girls. So when I'm feeling well, I like it to be a home for them, and that's my biggest job, and I'm proud of it, because I think I do achieve it, and I think I achieve it well. And
She does.
I was gonna ask Paul, but
yeah, and I'm at home for them when they need a chat or they need help with filling out an application form, and my energy gets used on that, because they're the most important people. And when they're older and they've left home, and if I get my heart transplant, then that'd be my time to maybe get out there and do my part, and help spread the word and stuff. But they're my main priority. So that's where my energy, my focus is going at the moment.
definitely.
So
I think Valerie sent me a message, but I think she was sending it to you. She said we should be proud. We love you.
who said that?
Valerie.
Val. That's my mother-in-law.
There you go. So I think it's not, it's not to blow you flowers or anything, but it's and to me that's why this call is about. And I make sure that there's, we really get to see the real side of people, or that side of the this life, and you also get to appreciate the family around you and the friends that, I don't know how often they tell you that you're inspirational, but next time they're not good doing something in your way, just tell them, especially Vicky, be like, you remember when you say I was inspirational? So you can use that against them. So I wanted to get, I think one thing that happened also with chronic illness, and when you get sick, obviously you go through your own changes, your body changes, but there's also a side about, well, you talked about how you didn't want people to know that you are sick. You didn't want to worry them. You wanted to protect them. And at the same time, when you tell people you have a heart issue or you are sick, they also perceive it one way. So I don't know if that makes sense, but in terms of how we see each other or how we see illness as a collective, right? So there's like a misunderstanding, or maybe something bad associated with the fact that we are like of being sick. So I wanted to know what it was like for you to go back to the world, to go back to the outside, like, with the LVAD, or even when you are sick. Like, what is it like to walk in the world now, being out and about, and thinking that, okay, I have a heart condition, I'm sick, or I have the LVAD, what do they think? And like, do you have those kind of apprehension? Do you have those kind of challenges when you're living outside, and when you're having maybe conversation, but just in your head, what do you, how do you feel society is perceiving you, or people that don't know you might be perceiving you, and things like that, as a person who's sick or who has a heart condition.
Well, you always get that but you don't look sick question. Like when you got we have, like, it's called a blue badge in the UK, where it's a disabled parking.
Yes.
And I mean, the reason I got it is because, like, you can imagine when you've got all the stuff on, you need more space to get in and out of the car.
Mhm.
And if it's raining and you don't want to get wet and all those type of things. Well, I got one when I didn't have one before. I only got it when I had the LVAD. So you get a few looks from certain people. When I first had the LVAD, for the first few months, I had everybody at home taking turns. Vicky, my mum, Paul, everyone wanted to babysit me, but I'm very independent, and I enjoy my own company a lot. And I got to the point where, please just let me be on my own now, and I wasn't scared at all. I remember the first time I went shopping on my own without anybody, and I hit the shopping trolley on the exit site, and it was really painful. And I rang my mum up, said, it's like really hurting, and I had to get myself home. But apart from physically, it's hard carrying all your backup batteries and stuff. I just go out, I just do it, I just go on my own. I'm not phased by it at all.
Yeah.
Apart from last week, I went to the shops to get some Easter eggs, and I had not panic, but I was like, oh, what about if my alarms go off with the LVAD? Because I haven't been out, and I think that's more because I've been shielding due to COVID. I haven't really been out. That's the first time I've been out on my own. So mentally, for me, I just go out like I did before I had the LVAD, and people looking at me. I think I wear my batteries in my pocket a lot of the time, so I just look like I've got big fires.
Yeah, it works out.
Yeah, so they don't really see it, and I think some people look at me and think I've got oxygen, or I've got a colostomy bag or something with the wires, but I'm in my own little world most of the time, so I don't really see how people perceive me. I'm more conscious of how much weight I've put on, and rather than the LVAD itself. So that's not really been an issue for me. Where I live, and not far from where my family and friends live, is a small little island, and everybody knows everybody. And so when you go to the shops, you're mainly bumping into friends and family. It takes about 3 hours to go shopping because you keep bumping into people. So and it's a community, so everyone kind of knows who I am anyway. So it just doesn't. It's not an issue for me at all.
That helps a lot. I was just wondering how Paul feels about your wife walking around with big hips. Must be a bit scary to let her go out like that. You don't want problems.
I wouldn't dare comment on things like that.
There you go.
I'm always catching the wires though, because they're hanging out all the place. On the Boxing Day, I sat on my controller by accident, and I set off the self-testing alarm, and no one told me about that. It's the first time I knew about it.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm sitting there and it was screaming at me. So we're all trying to figure out what was going on, and I'm just pressing any button and it stopped. Yeah. So we went upstairs and we tried it on the spare controller. No one ever told me about that. So there's things I'm still learning about the LVAD. I just sat on it by accident.
That's odd, because you're supposed to, not anymore. I don't do it all the time, but initially my team wanted me to do that every morning.
Yeah, I still don't know how to do it. I still don't know how to do it now. I did it accidentally.
Yeah, I heard that a few times. I was on a phone call and it went on. I didn't know why, and I thought something was wrong. And also one time on the plane too, I was traveling and I pressed it. Yeah, but likely it was loud enough, people didn't get it. The funniest story I heard though was the one on the wall when you pull it out.
Yeah.
That gets very loud. So one of my other LVAD friends, they went on to a B&B somewhere. I think they were on the top floor, and then they pulled it out by accident, and then it sounded like a fire alarm. So everybody ran out of the house. They just sat there and laughed because they knew what was happening, but everybody thought it was an alarm, a fire alarm. So they left the house.
I had my first low flow alarm last weekend, and I've never had one of those before either. It only lasted for 1 second,
Yeah.
but I still panicked. I still was like, oh my God, what's going on? Because the only alarms I ever get is if we have a power cut.
Yeah.
So I've never had an alarm before, but
yeah,
that was pretty scary. I think that's the biggest impact with the whole of the LVAD situation, that I had, I guess, post-traumatic stress with alarms. And it's not just me, it's my daughters, my mum, and stuff. Is that if I go shopping and I hear a beeping noise, I panic.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point that as soon as I hear a beep, I shake and everything. It's because I'm so scared. Because I saw your video when you do the spare controller changeover. I've never been taught that, so I don't know. I wouldn't know how to do it properly.
No, they have to train you on all of those, because I mean that's the whole point of having the LVAD. Because in my case, everybody got trained. Like they got I think my son might know how to do it now, but no, he's only 6 now. But my in-laws all know how to do it. My wife and friends. So, maybe I can teach you and Paul.
Yeah, I mean, because before I got discharged, they have to teach you how to do everything, but they won't teach you with that because they said it's too expensive to have the machine to practice on. So I was sent home with a leaflet how to do it.
Yeah.
But I have arthritis in my hand, so I'm really clumsy. I drop things. My phone, like 20 times a day, I drop my phone.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah, but I get
It's
really
insured.
It's insured. It's got cracks and all sorts on it. But I get really nervous about that. I get panicky about oh my God, what about? Because the longer you have it, I think those type of things that you've had yours 4.5 years, mine's 2.5 years. But as time goes on, you do worry about those things might happen. And so I don't know that much about the LVAD, how to check things on there like that.
Yeah.
Just got given a leaflet. And when I got given it, it was when I was discharged and I wasn't ready to know about it all. And then I put it in the loft and I've not seen it since.
Yeah, I think what also helped me a little bit is that one of the doctor that is led the development of the pump is on my team, and the people that develop the pump, the R&D center is actually near me in Burlington, Massachusetts. So they have more, they can bring in more equipment. And I remember one day I was gonna go to it was a cardiologist conference, but one of my, it's like where you screw the LVAD, it was cracked a little bit, but they didn't want to send me with something that was cracked, it would look bad. So they replaced it. So we get a bit more advantage in terms of the, spare equipment and things like that. But I think, I think we need to, having more training. And I don't usually do that because I try not to influence other patients. Like I don't want people to go trying things on their own. But I'm definitely happy to share that, some of those notes with you, because I think it will give you more confidence, and in practicing. So we do this a few times, even on the video that you saw, it was mostly just a practice. Like it was, the test that I was doing with the nurse, they wanted to know that I still got it, I guess, after a while. And then also one thing they made clear to me is that, even if the LVAD stop working, obviously they make sure that your blood is not clotting too fast. Even if the LVAD stop working, you should be all right for a few, sometimes. So it's not like, you will just drop and go. So to me, I was like, that helps me just stay calm even when, things are not working. So yeah, but hopefully with time you should, the LVAD works, and it's a lot of thing, and they make it less parts, but you seem to be very aware of your situation. So if something is going wrong, you will know before it gets
Yeah.
bad. But yeah.
I mean, there's a lot I've learned since I have had the LVAD, not from the consultants, but from like the Instagram community with I mean, when I first got discharged, I was having lots of suck-on events, like and when I told my consultant, they didn't believe me. They just said it was sensitivity towards the pump. For about a year, no one believed me that I was getting these feelings.
Yeah.
And then I found out it's because I was dry. I needed more fluid.
Yes.
And then I was trying to say to him, okay, the fluid's fine. I'm sure it's my blood pressure why I'm feeling like this. And they said, no, your blood pressure at 75 is perfect. I thought, my body doesn't like my blood pressure at 75. He likes it at 95.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think they look at the textbooks of how people are on their LVADs rather than the individual person sometimes.
Yeah.
And especially being a female as well, because there's other things that come into being a female when you've got an LVAD. And all my team are male. So I don't have any females to discuss certain things with.
I have too many female on my team.
I did have one, and she left and she went to America. So
that's why.
Yeah, and my surgeon, he left my hospital to come to America.
Yeah.
You pay more over there.
We have to talk to them. We have to talk to them. We have to leave one or two at least behind. Yeah. No, it's so we have, the way they set up our team is that we have the whole unit as like maybe 9 or 10 cardiologists, and they cover everybody. So every day, everybody will know about every patient. But the people that really look after you are the nurses. So it's a team of 4 or 5 nurses, and those are the ones we talk to every day, or all the visits. And they also rotate. But to your point, the thing with these conditions is that every case is different. Everybody has a different baseline, because when you get sick, it depends on where you're coming sick from. Some people get, like in my case, when I got my LVAD, when I was sick, there wasn't much difference between what I am now and stuff. Like I look the same, and actually made it harder, because they're like, no, you don't have anything. So it's only when they went inside that they noticed it. So my baseline would be different from somebody who had a heart attack or something. So everybody is different. And I think also, with more cases, more data, hopefully they will, and like you giving them a hard time this time, they will be better prepared. But too bad you had to be the guinea pig for many others.
Yeah, because I was one of the newer patients in the UK to have the HeartMate 2, 3. So I don't know which one I'm on. HeartMate 3.
Thank you, Paul.
I was out of it. I was too sick to know what they were doing to me. But I think I was one of the second people that had one in the UK for that. So I was quite new. So the people that they were comparing it to the old LVAD at times. Like they said that the PI, do you have a PI? They said, oh no, that's irrelevant. We don't need to know much about it. But that's a massive indicator to how I feel. Because if my PI goes up to 11 or 10.9, I feel awful, absolutely awful. And if it goes lower than 2.1, 2.1, I know that I'm dehydrated, I'm dry. So I look at that more than I look at any of the other numbers on the controller pad. But they're not bothered by the PI at all at the hospital.
They don't know how to read it. But to your point, everybody's different. And because what happened, the old PI, like this pump is different. So the old PI was linked to the other old pump system, but it's a totally different technology, totally different way of operating. So I think they don't know. They have to adjust how it works, but it doesn't mean something. Like you have to check it out. So you have to, and also everybody's different, so there can be different measures. But to me, I think I have a similar case where I know if my PI is very low, I'm dehydrated or something's going on, and I didn't get to 11 yet, but when it gets higher, let's say 5, 6, I can feel it. I know the difference. So I hope they, but I think you're also teaching them a lot, and that's a good part. It's the relationship, because they're learning, you are learning. and they don't have many other cases. But we hope, the whole thing for me is, how's life improving for you? How's the quality of life? So I know last week was very tough, but I will say, let's say for the 2 years you got in the LVAD, did you see any improvement in terms of your general health? Did the LVAD help you, get, well, how did the LVAD help you in terms of your life quality?
Well, because mine was so sudden before I had this, literally, I was at a wedding 2 or 3 weeks before. I had the LVAD fitted, dancing on the dance floor. So for me, when I got sick, I was in hospital, and then I had the LVAD. So I remember that not a lot of improvement, because I remember in like 3 months before I was absolutely fine. So, but then after the sauna, I struggled a lot with rib pain, and that's my pain came from there, and my exit site was always sore. But I think I had one good year, like I think about 6 months after I had the LVAD, for a year, we done loads. I mean, we can't travel abroad like you can on a plane and stuff here, because if you're an hour and a half away from home, it implicates your transplant. If you had, so we always stayed not too many hours away from home. Well, I did, me and my mum went away for a little weekend break, went to watch the Formula 1 at Silverstone. We've done loads and loads, and it was I probably had the best physical year I had for a long time. But obviously during the pandemic, I went in with an infection into hospital and some bleeding issues. So it's not as good as this. Last year hasn't been as best as it was the year before. But touch wood, doesn't find a piece of wood. I've had a good week this week. I still, if I stand too long, I feel dizzy. I feel my blood pressure dropping. When I take certain drugs, it still makes me feel a bit groggy and stuff like that. So, but I'm getting older as well. So I'm 2.5 years older than what I was when I started this journey. So, and my girls are getting older, which causes me more headaches. So
how's that causing you more headaches?
Because they're older, I've got less control.
Why do you want to control them?
Because they're daughters.
You have to. That's the part you have to work on. You have to let it go. How does Paul control them?
You're joking.
Has he ever?
No chance.
I have 3 boys, and that's what I was very happy about. I was like, if I had any girl, there's no chance. I was gonna be the worst parent, and she's gonna be the most spoiled. I couldn't do anything. I have one sister, and I'm so protective of her, and it's so wrong. I'm like, this is not healthy. No, but you have to let them. You have to let them go. I think I remember when I was 20 something, 22, 23, around. My mom called me and she's like, well, my life is in 3 parts. I finished mine. The second one was with you guys, and now I'm ready for grandkids. So, you got to prepare them for that. So you have maybe a few more years, but that's the next stage you have to be ready for. But you cannot control the daughters. They're 20 something now. The
older one needs more looking after than the younger one.
That sounds normal. I'm a firstborn. That sounds normal.
Yeah, so am I, but I'm always looking after my little sister. So.
Really? No, we have to switch it up. No, it's never right. We have small kids, so we like, okay, great, but I'm not eager for them to grow. I'm like, this is too much.
It's easier when they're younger, believe me.
Yeah, I can just pick them up and move them. Now I'm like, they're getting heavier and stronger, so that I cannot do that anymore.
When they're out driving, you never know where they are. Every time I hear an ambulance, I'm like, oh my God.
No. So I was gonna come back to that. I think one big challenge that you have, and I think you said it a few times, is you and my wife is similar too. You tend to worry a lot. Like you worry, or you look at for the white side, and so I don't know how you deal with that with Paul. I don't know if Paul is the same way, but no. that was it.
is an optimistic.
Yeah, so it's a good balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am optimistic in certain ways. That I pick myself up and I just plow on. I think this, most people say this about me. I don't feel sorry for myself. I never say why me. I just accept it and just get on with it. I never feel sorry for myself about it.
But you worry, that feeling
But I
you transfer
worry
to others.
I worry about how it affects everybody else. It's like, if I don't make this journey, I'm not going to be here, so I won't know any difference. But then I start thinking, oh my God, it's going to affect my daughters. How are they going to be like when they're like having children and stuff? And Paul's going to be left a widow, and how's my mum going to cope? I worry about how my illness affects everybody else rather than it affects me. Because for me, I think it's easier dealing with pain because I can just go to sleep and sleep it off, or if I have a bad day, watch TV all day. But they have to get on with their life, and their life's no less than my life. They didn't choose this, and they didn't choose this path that we're on. And I feel protective that I want them to have their normal, as well as like looking after me and worrying about me. But he is an optimistic. And so he's always saying, you'll get the heart. And I go, you don't know that. Well, how do you know? But
I know.
he knows, apparently.
I believe him. I'm with him.
Yeah. I mean, when I was really sick, the day they took me down for the theatre with the LVAD, I was told it was going to be touch and go before, if they knew whether I was going to make the LVAD operation, because I was so sick. But you wasn't worried at all, was you? Because he knew that I was going to be okay. He just had this feeling that I was going to be okay.
Even when they told me that, and Mel's mum, that she was just about to go, before the LVAD, they said, you need to prepare yourself because we can't do anything for her.
Yeah.
They were told to say goodbye. The vicar came up as well.
Yeah. So I went and got the kids, and we come and sat by her, and they said goodbye to her. And then all of a sudden, she sat back up. It was like, oh,
I ain't going nowhere.
And it did. Even at that point, I was thinking to myself, this isn't according to the plan. This is not right. This is not. And then she just sat up.
Yeah.
And that was, I think she was full of morphine at the time.
No, dopamine.
Dopamine, yeah. Dopamine, and started chatting with us. And it's like, well, what are you crying for?
Yeah.
When I was in critical care, obviously I didn't know this. They were going to have to take me back in for surgery because they weren't happy about the LVAD. It wasn't working at the beginning, and that was like, I think, pretty hard on them all, knowing that I'd have to go back in for more surgery, because my surgery took a lot longer than expected as well. I just like to be awkward. Yeah. I think it was. I just think my right side of my heart was almost so bad that they couldn't do the LVAD, and so there was a big chance that the LVAD wasn't going to work. And so it was, and I was so thin and I was so poorly that it was a battle to get me through, but I did it, and I'm still sitting here now with big thighs. With my body.
There you go. You got me there. So you're beating the odds. You're beating the odds time and time again. And Paul has always been right. It seems like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it seems like we got it covered. So I'm not sure. But that's amazing. I think that's I like that he's there with you and you guys kind of support each other. Like in my case, it's the opposite. I never worry, and my wife does all the worrying. So if she's not worried, I get worried. I was like, "You sure you're okay with this?" And I'm like, "There's something wrong if she's not worried." But on my side, she's like, everything that can go wrong, she will kind of do that. And what I figured it was to help her was that I'll make sure I give her as much information as possible. Like I give her everything she can know. And I try to answer all the questions, because usually I try to fix it, but it's easier if I give it to her and then she has enough to worry about, and then I can focus. But I wanted to check if all of this kind of came to you feeling guilty for making life hard for them.
Oh yeah, guilt. The guilt is probably one of the biggest emotions that I have. when it comes to this journey. I feel I just saw the pain and because my hospital is about an hour and a half drive away, and when I was in hospital, seeing everyone come up to see me, see how tired everyone was, and the emotional, physical strain it puts on everyone. You know, it's like every time the phone rings, Paul rings my mum, she's like, oh, you're gonna have to text me before you ring me, because you know I'm scared. And it's just, I just feel like I'm the one who's always sick, and I'm the one who's always causing such worry for everybody in the family. And that's hard, because I'm a protector. I like protecting people. I like looking after people, I like making a fuss of them and making them feel special. And when I'm sick, I don't like the fuss. I really struggle with the fuss, because I like being the fusser. And I find it, I feel really guilty when I have to go in hospital, if I have bad days, or like, for example, last week I had the right heart catheter, and they were worried about my pressures. They was worried that maybe I couldn't have a heart transplant. And I was just, everyone was just on edge, and it ruins everyone's day, you know. And actually my first transplant call, I've had 2 false alarms. So I had one 6 months after I had the LVAD fitted, and I got the call. I went to Silverstone to watch the Formula 1 on the Sunday, and then on the Monday it was my sister's birthday, and I was going around there for lunch, and I got the call. So we all went up there, and I ruined her birthday that day. And then I got the other call, November just gone. I was just about to bury myself into some Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And then I got the phone call, said, "Kneel by a mouth now." And I was like, just had one little scoop of ice cream before I left. And we got up there, and I got all prepped for surgery, and just about to go down. And then they said that the donor heart had coronary artery disease, and they didn't know until they checked the heart properly. So I've had 2 false alarms, which is promising, considering, like I said, with my antibodies. So just waiting for the third one now.
You're very close.
Hope so. 3rd time lucky.
Yeah, there you go.
The first time I wasn't ready for it, though. I cried. I was like, I do not want this. This LVAD life's brilliant. I was feeling better. I was doing stuff. I remember the open heart surgery before. I remember the critical care. I didn't want to go back there because I felt good. But the second time I was devastated, because I was ready. I'm ready for it now, mentally and physically. I don't feel great enough, so I know I'm sick enough to want it. But I don't feel too ill to know that I can't physically do this. So I'm kind of ready for it now.
That's very important, and I think that's when that might be some of the signs, because if you're not ready and you get it, and when you're not positive about the process, it makes it harder in any way, anything, right? So well, we'll be rooting for you, and we won't be giving you a hard time, but we'll reach out for Paul. I'm like, Paul, she's been quiet. Just send her the text. That's like she's in or she's got it. Something, 2 words, 3 words. That's amazing. I'm very intrigued by this, because sorry, I want to check. Do you have this conversation with them? Do you ever tell them, sorry for ruining your day, or sorry for making life harder for you? Do you have this conversation with any of them?
I don't know. I wonder if one of them would come on and actually answer that question.
But let's start with Paul, and I'll pick on somebody else. But let's start with Paul. Do you have that conversation with Paul?
She's always telling me. She's always apologising to me for ruining things.
Thanking you.
Yeah, and thanking me. But I know. I mean, she would do exactly the same for me. So it's irrelevant. I don't. Yeah, it is hard. Coping with it for both of us, or for anybody in this situation. But it is what it is, and you just deal with it and get on. And I'd be there for her as I've had
vertigo.
No, that thing I had, the
COVID jab.
No,
he's had loads of things.
Loads of things. Anyway,
I remember.
She's been there.
Memory. I'm his memory. That's what I'm good for.
So that thing, Thank you.
wasn't even trying to remember. He's like, I'm not gonna get it. Let me just ask. This is cute. That's so cute.
Appendicitis is what I was going to say. So
he's had it hard.
So she's looked after me at a drop of a hat. So I know it goes both ways. So I just say to her, don't worry about it. It's just my job. In the same way as you. Same for me.
I don't have to tell my family if I'm having a rough day because they say I go quiet. Radio silence. I have like group. Me, my sister, and my mum's group chat. The name on WhatsApp is the Three Musketeers. Yeah. Because it's always been the three of us really. And then we've got a family one where my cousins in it. And if I don't reply straight away, they know I'm having a bad day. So I don't really have to tell them too much.
In the one with the three of you, do you guys talk about the cousins in that one?
No, there's another one. We've got a few going on. We've got the Fifth Musketeers, where my cousin and Paul's in that one. Then I've got the family one, which is just me, my mum, sister, and my cousin. Then there was another one with Paul's family on there. So I've got lots of group ones going on. And I've also created one called the Muppets.
What's
which
that?
Which has got me, my girls, their partners, and Paul on that one. So I've got a few. And sometimes I do send wrong messages to the wrong groups.
Yes.
Sometimes. So.
Your mum's always for that.
Yeah, my mum does that as well.
We have to bring your mum in. Where is she?
I thought, where are? I don't know, is she on there?
She is. Or she was.
Oh,
Barbara Daniels. She's down
she's
there.
a bit like me. She's new to this.
We'll try
technology.
It's Barbara, right?
Come on, Barbara, you can do it.
She's probably in the garden painting a fence.
Probably. So I'm gonna see between her and Valerie who can come first. Because I really want to hear what they think about this. But we'll see. There she is.
Talking.
Yeah.
So you, Mal? Oh,
I think so.
That's my mother-in-law, Val.
Yeah, you guys can both come in. Hi, how are you? Oh, I see is that your father-in-law next?
Yeah, that's my father, my lad.
Yeah, you guys can come in. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah. Did you hear what she was saying about you guys? How she makes life harder for you?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. No, she's a joy. She doesn't make life hard.
I don't know what to believe now. The mom says she makes life harder. The in-laws are saying
that's my mum's humour. Just like Oh, hello, Val.
Just coming on like that.
Mum, let Val talk first. Go on, Val, you go first.
I've said what I need to say.
I'm a joy.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. I'll repeat it. You're a joy.
She is.
And what about you, Mum? What do you think of me?
Let me see.
Are you there, Mum?
She's got to push her on mute. Let's see how long this takes. Could be a while. We all go make a cup of tea while we're waiting. Barbara, okay, push the button.
Yeah. That one?
Oh, she's there. Yes, that one, yeah.
What can I say? Yeah, she's a joy. She's my afternoon tea buddy.
I did lots of on Wednesday I had my mum round and we made fresh wreaths for the spring wreaths for the front door, and we had like a little pot of tea and do things like that. I do go out with my mother-in-law and my mum a lot. They're like before COVID. They're like my friends as well. Yeah, I think when I got sick, when I got sick 10 years ago, I made a promise to myself to never go to bed feeling with a guilty conscience. Always live that day the best you can. And I've got a bucket list on my iPad, and it might just have something like eat a dinner at Jamie Oliver's restaurant, or go to I don't know, go to do the Jack the Ripper tour in London, the walking tour. Really simple things, but some really good things on there. And I've looked at my list, and the list that I've done is like this long, and what I've got left is that. And it just gives me like a sense a purpose and achievement. And I always think to myself, whatever happens to me, I've lived my life the best. Do you know what? I'm a really happy, contented person. I'm not angry at my situation. I'm not sad. I worry. I'm a worrier. I worry about the future.
We've established that.
But I'm so content. I love my life so much, and even with all the gubbins that goes on with this life, I just love doing stuff. I just really appreciate life.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the bucket list idea. I read somewhere that happiness is a series of victories. I'm not sure who said it, but that's what it sounds like you're saying. So, and there was a time what I was doing is if I woke up and do one thing, so I will have a to-do list. Usually it's like never ending, but I just want to do the first two. And then if I do one thing, I feel good. And I was like, my day, sometimes even at work, I'm like, I do one document, my job is done. My job is done here, but I appreciate that. I really want to bring in Anne and get her perspective on that. She was having a fun time.
Hi.
Hi, Anne.
Can I just tell you, this is like, and I mean this so sincerely, like this is the most therapeutic hour that I've perhaps had in years, because I really, really can relate to a lot. And, I just took some notes. It's like, so, I do a lot of comparing as well, which I feel like is a dangerous thing, because sort of setting yourself aside from what's really occurring. But I did all of this single, like I lost both of my parents to heart disease. My brother had a heart transplant prior to me, and he was done with the whole thing. Like he didn't want to hear anything about it. So I remember just being at Brigham and being in the hospital and seeing families gather in patients' room and being like, man, I wish I had that. But then some arguing would start and I'd be like, oh, thank God I don't have that.
You can just concentrate on yourself.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, it's just one of those things that that you just don't know. But I really feel like my friendships are the thing that carried me through. And the doctors, the doctors really understood that I was in this journey sort of alone, and they took extra care and extra time. So that was good. And then as well, the whole not looking sick. Like I felt like, do I have to have like a trail of blood behind me for anybody to understand that sometimes disability is hidden? It's just not, it's not. And then I think one of the things that one of my friends said was, you spend a great deal of time protecting all of us from you. And I feel like that's exactly what you were saying, like worrying about how it affects somebody and like, oh man, I don't want to like wreck the party by having like a cardiac event. You're like, well, really? Wrecking the party would not be making through it. So
yeah.
So the fact that we know that time and time again, we walk this razor's edge, and that we do persevere. I really think it takes a lot of moxie to do what all of us are doing. So it's just
do you think the physical challenges where you are outweigh the mental challenges with your journey that you've been through? Or because I know that transplant life isn't easy either, is it? And mine is more, my physical challenges have been harder than it has been for me mentally, like worrying about myself. I worry about other people, but not about myself more. And I wonder if I ever do get my heart transplant, when I get my heart transplant, is it going to really hit me mentally, like everything that's kind of happened? Do you ever get to a point where you feel like, oh my God, I can't believe this is like my life? Do you know?
I think all of us. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of those times. Paul alluded to that earlier, where he said, in the moment, you're just getting through. And then when you have time to slow down and think about it, you're like, what just happened? Like, what happened? And that I really felt that so pronounced when you know, leading up to the transplant and then post-transplant, I needed to have somebody around me all the time. And then as I began to get better, everybody went on with their lives. And you're left alone with the thoughts of like, well, like, what do I do now? Like, am I supposed to go to the grocery store? Like, it's just so, it's very weird. It's very weird. And
people always say my doctor said it to me last week, and I said, oh, do you think, because I'm 46, I said, do you think I'll make 50? He went, who knows? I don't know if I'm going to make 50, because I might get hit by a bike, a motorbike or whatever when I'm crossing the road. And I think, but when you're living this journey, your mortality is like a spotlight the whole time. And you don't compare yourself just walking out and getting hit by a bus. It just seems like it's there the whole time. Your mortality is like, it's not comparable, because you don't know if you're going to get hit by a bus. You don't know what your future holds, but we kind of do. We kind of know.
I feel like, first of all, there's no buses around here. So
you're safe there.
Safe there. I might get hit by a tractor, but I feel like this is the best. This is the best analogy for me, is that it's as though you're at I don't know what you call it there, but the deli counter. You go to get cold cuts or whatever, and you get a number. And everybody else in life is just wandering around and they don't have a number, but we have a number. So it is really that thought, like, how much time do I have left? And how much time do I have feeling this good? And then how, you know, because the bar keeps lowering, right? I don't mean to be so blue here, or like, but it did. It sort of was like, oh, well, that was nice while it lasted.
Yeah. And they say when you have an LVAD that never one day is the same. There's always an issue with an LVAD. And when they told me that, I thought, yeah, but it's true. And it's not just like major things that goes wrong with an LVAD. It can be, like I said, you could be too dry, and then your pump starts to hurt, like stuck on events, and then your blood pressure goes too high, so they give you a blood pressure tablet, and then that drops it too low, and it's a balancing act. And I know that's probably the same having a transplant as well. It's just, you fix one problem, but then another problem arises, and it must be like gold dust to have something where everything's in alignment and everything's just peaceful and working it right at the same time. Yeah, I totally agree. I wanted to say as well, I didn't go through the LVAD piece. They said I wouldn't survive that procedure. So I feel like I sort of skated by something that you guys are really, and that they said that it's very, very challenging.
Yeah, it's a transition part, I think, because, you know, when you have a new heart, that's it, you know, but when you have the LVAD, you know, you have to deal with the LVAD, and then you have to hope that the LVAD doesn't mess up. So, you know, usually you want to get to the transplant day, so you have to qualify for that, but you hope that the LVAD will hold you long enough. So there's a bit more things to worry about, but you know, it makes it harder, but it's like more variable. But also, you know, part of it can prepare you for the transplant. So it's more to consider, and I think that's what makes it a bit harder.
But it also gives you a better chance of surviving transplant having an LVAD, because if I had my transplant 2.5 years ago, I weighed less than 8 stone. I probably wouldn't have survived the operation. I was so tiny. I would have been like bedridden, and there was no muscle left in me. I couldn't even swallow my tablets because all my muscles were just going. And the LVAD has made me, I'm strong. I've got muscles now. I'm stronger. I've put on weight more than what I wanted to, but I've put on weight. So everything. So if I got a transplant now, I'm in a better position now than I would have been 2.5 years ago. So, you know, that's one of the positives. But I do know that if you get a heart transplant while you've got the LVAD, it's more of a complicated operation, because you've got to get all the LVAD equipment out of you while you're on warfarin and the bleeding and all the lovely stuff that goes with it.
I heard that in some cases they leave some things in there. In some cases they leave cables because it gets fused to your body. There are people that have pieces of wires inside. but you'll be fine. I think you're a bionic person anyway. Yeah.
Have you got an ICD? Did you have an ICD?
I have an ICD. Yeah. My ICD story is like it literally saved my life. That I can. That's the one time I felt like I didn't know this at all. But when I look at my story, that's the one time I feel like I could have died if I didn't have that. So I was just traveling. So I left, Senegal, Africa it was a long flight all the way to California and then, so 4 years before I was sick, and then my symptom came back with a vengeance. It was like, I arrived on Friday. I had to go to the hospital that Sunday. So they did all the tests. And then the first thing, and everything was the same as, the initial diagnosis, but they're like, let's give you an AICD. So that was a Monday. I remember having a conversation Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I was just going back and forth. And I was trying to keep my wife calm because she was in Zanzibar traveling. So I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to have the procedure. I'll wait for her to come. And then last minute, I changed my mind. I'm like, I want to have the procedure. So they put the AICD in me on Thursday afternoon. Friday, I went back home. And then the first, and this was in between that day, I was having VTAC, but without knowing it, I wasn't feeling anything. That Sunday, I had the one event that could have really taken me out, but luckily I had the AICD put in, 2 days before. And then that was the last day I had any VTAC. It's like 5 years ago, that was the one time. I mean, we did have, some medical treatment, some medication in between, and that helped, but that was the last time. So that did save me, but that was the only time I got shocked. I got anything.
I've not had anything.
I appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah, I've not had anything yet. Mine runs out. I've got about 6 months battery life left on mine, and they kind of basically they want me to get a transplant so they don't have to worry about changing the battery, but they might decide to switch it off rather than going through the complications of having the battery change while we're on so many blood thinners and infections. So I've got about 6 to 9 months, 9 months maximum, and about 6 months. But I've had mine for 8 years. When I had mine fitted, I was awake. I don't know if you were awake when you have your ICD.
No, fitted. I don't feel. No, I was. They put me down. I was tired.
No, I was awake, and because I had mine under the muscle, so you couldn't see it. But the anaesthetic wasn't working so well for me. I could feel stuff, so they gave me a block to bite on while they were finishing off the stitching and stuff. So you should have seen my neck. It's awful, and they couldn't test it to see if it was working because my potassium levels weren't right. It was too dangerous, so I had to go back in 3 months to be tested, to have it tested. But in those 3 months, I decided to go to Italy and climb Mount Vesuvius. And I didn't even know if it worked, the ICD. I was fine, but when I went in to get it,
I was fine. But somebody with worries, that's spectacular.
Yeah. So when I went in the September to have it tested, they put you to sleep because obviously they have to put you into this arrhythmia. Well, when it shocked me, it woke me up. So I sat bolt upright in the bed and went, bloody hell, what was that? And then went back asleep again. Apparently I scared the living daylights out of the surgeons because it shocked me and it woke me up from the defibrillator shock. So that's the only shock that I've had from my ICD.
Oh, that's a funny one. Oh my God. Oh my God. I had people tell me how bad it is. They said it's like a horse kicking you from the inside. And I felt like he was exaggerating because it was the first to really explain to me. It's like he got kicked from one part of the room to the other side of the room, like to the one wall to the other. And I'm like, in my head, I was trying to understand, but it's like literally, it's like he got kicked all the way. Like, so some people get kicked so much that they jump.
And
Yeah,
have you had a shock before?
Have I? So no, in fact, I had an ICD, and shortly after they put it in, I got a letter in the mail saying that it was recalled.
Oh, okay.
Like, wait, not my toaster, not this thing that's buried in my chest.
oh my
But-
God.
But truthfully, when they do the transplant, they take it out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Because my daughter had hers fitted 2 years ago when she was 16, her ICD, but she had the problem where they couldn't get the wire completely where they wanted it to. So they nearly took her back in to move it, but luckily it's she's fine with it. But that was horrible seeing her go for it. She saw how painful it was for me.
Yeah.
She had hers done at the Great Ormond Street Hospital. So they were really good, but that was hard seeing her go through that. And her scar, I scar really well, so I've just got like a little white line that goes across, but hers is much more prominent to her scar. But she's already said to me, if I have to have another one, I don't want it. I don't want another one put in, because she's got hers because she's got a heart block.
Yeah.
She's she's got conductive heart disease, as well as my gene for dilated cardiomyopathy. But so they if she didn't have the gene, they wouldn't have put the ICD in. It's just that they don't know whether that's an indicator that she will start developing symptoms. So they've just got it in anyway. But she's like, I don't want it back in. If I've got to have it done again, I don't want it.
Yeah.
She's not keen on it. But I don't even notice mine's there anymore.
Yeah, we don't blame her.
No.
These conversations can go on forever, and I usually initially I was like, how much time we allocate, and I do 90 minutes, and time again, every time I have the call, like there's always more. So I would say that with 2 more minutes or so we'll probably wrap up, but I'll usually tell people there will always be a part 2, so we have more conversations.
You might want part 4 with me.
There you go. But there was one point I wanted to kind of make, and this was, I mean, I might be projecting, but it's a bit more my personal journey. I also like to help people a lot. I like to be there for people. I was like, even in my house as a kid, I was the one, making sure everything was fine, looking after people. And I didn't really welcome help. Like, I didn't let people be there for me. And so one day I was thinking about it, because when I help people, I get happy, right? That makes me happy. So I feel like maybe I'm depriving other people for being, for having that feeling or being there for me. And the other thing I realized over time, by me showing my vulnerability to people, we have a stronger connection, because it makes it easier for everybody. And then also the last one I noticed recently was with my son, because my wife was emotional one day, so she was crying and sad, and my son noticed that he didn't even want to study, so I let him be. And then when his grandfather came, he ran and told his grandfather, and then someone in that conversation is like, oh, I've never seen daddy cry, or I've never seen daddy sad. Daddy's never sad. I'm like, that's not true. I cried in front of you. But he's a kid, so he probably forgot it. But it was important for me that he understand that that's okay, and you ask for help, and you don't have to carry that load alone. Sometimes they don't have to do anything, but them just knowing helps me. But that's something I really had to, I'm still have to probably work through it now, but that was very important for me. I wonder if you're thinking of doing it, or you've considered doing some of that with your family, in a sense that just helping them through the journey, so that you don't have to worry more for them, and vice versa. So like it's easier. I know you might be talking every day, but like, do you get into those moments before you go quiet? Like, do you tell them, okay, I'm getting sick now, I'm feeling this, it might be this or that, before you just go quiet on them, and stuff? Because maybe that's more scary. But I wanted to know how you.
Well, Paul's laughing, so I just want to see why he's laughing. Why are you laughing at that question? Obviously,
she never tells anybody how she's feeling. So, well, she does me at night sometimes when she's,
when he wants to go to sleep.
she's having her low moments, So, yeah, I get to hear it. But
He said to me just a minute ago before we came on here, do you want me to get you some tissues? And I went, what for? So just in case he gets emotional. I went, I'm not going to cry. I won't cry.
I didn't do a good job. Next time I'll get you.
He said it is okay to cry, Yeah, I've always been like it, but it's not just because of my journey. I've just always been. I went to my youngest daughter's leavers assembly years ago when she was in primary school, and I was the school governor, and I had all the head teachers and stuff sitting that side, and that side I had no one, and it was really emotional. So I kept this eye bone dry, that I had one little tear coming down it. So I even want to control my tears.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I think for me it adds up, and there was a time I was just like, it just comes out as a floodgate. I was so during this whole process, I think I cried one time when my son visited me in the ICU, and that was like it was after a tough day, and I was having AFib, and then he came in and I saw him, and that's where everything kind of sunk in, and I just started crying, and he was waiting for me for so long. He was frustrated, but then he also just started crying, but I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I gotta make sure that he doesn't go through that, he doesn't go through the same thing, because it was really painful. And the other time, I think 2 years after, about 2 years after, when my twins were born, around the same time, maybe 2 weeks after, my good friend, we were talking on the phone on Sunday, and then Monday they told me he passed, like in the morning. So it was sudden. And then I realized, and then for some reason, like to your case, I wouldn't cry in front of everybody, but in my car, every time I was alone, it would just come out. And I was like, this is weird. But it was all the emotions that I keep, you keep penning up. So you'll have your days every now and then. But I have a friend here, she lost, we're friends now, but there was another person who had the LVAD for a few years, and she passed. So, but I knew her sister-in-law and her daughter. Her daughter is very also, don't want to cry type of thing. So I was joking with her. I'm like, you have to cry in front of your kid and stuff. So the first day she was crying in front of her son, was maybe 6 or 7. Son was laughing at her because he didn't know what was happening. And then long story short, we had a call last week. And during this call, there was a lot of laughter, of course. And we had a singing and prayer, but there was a lot of crying too. Like she was literally crying. And this is somebody who, even by herself, probably doesn't cry, but it was therapeutic. But I think we all cry in different ways too, right? We all have different ways of expressing that emotion. But I think for your family, Odile, my friend is reminding me that everybody was crying. I wasn't crying. Did I cry? But it's very, I think it's just, for me, it was important to just let the feelings and emotions be. I think ultimately, I feel like between us and between the life it's like a transfer of feelings, right? You get upset, you put it on somebody put it on the other one, and next thing they put on the cat and the dog. But like you have to share it. You have to share those emotions. It seems like Paul is the one who carry the burden in public in general, but there's different ways. But for me, it's, really today I was happy. And like I said, next time we'll try. We won't try to make you cry, but we'll try.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, it will be a challenge. But I wanted, before we wrap up now, and I'll probably definitely come back to you. I want to, wish you the best for the transplant, and hopefully, we'll get to talk to you right after that. But I wanted to, give you a few last words, and, if you'd like to share with us. And also, Paul, like if you had a few last words that you'd like to share with us before we say goodbye. Yeah. So do you have any last words you'd like to share with us or anybody on the call, including your mom and your mom-in-law?
I'm sorry to be a pain.
No, you're great.
I am a bit of I don't like taking things too seriously. I like joking and stuff is my way of coping. But you're an inspiration for doing all this, though, and to let people talk freely and safely in an environment where you're not judged whether you look good and you're sick and stuff like that. So, oh God, did you put that on there?
Have they left? Oh, She'll think,
All
yeah, that's a good picture.
our days out. That was 2 weeks before I got sick. That one. I know. That was October just gone. That me and my mum went pumpkin picking. That's just one of my modelling agency pictures. That I've got. That's about a year after my LVADs. That's my sister, my mum, and my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
We went on an afternoon tea. I went shopping with my daughter on that day for the first time together on our own.
Wow. Guys, look for the picture where she's not smiling.
Right?
Everyone
was this
smiles
one?
in photos.
Is this Silverstone?
No, Paul. He was 50 2 years ago, and he got a birthday present for driving a sports car.
Yeah.
And I went and watched.
Yeah.
I would have gone in there, but I thought I better not. I've got an LVAD. I don't want to crash.
Why?
So. I don't want to bleed.
Paul, you don't look 50, Paul, by the way. I don't know.
Oh, thank you very much.
That was my daughter's birthday last year, and she was 18. That's the one who's got the ICD.
Yeah.
So
You guys
yeah.
are cute. You look cute here. Oh,
That's it,
ladies, man.
That's his 50th.
Oh,
That's his
man.
50th. I did a surprise birthday party for him, and I danced all night long with my LVAD attached to me. Danced completely all night long on the dance floor. And my sister's boyfriend, Mark, who's on here, he was the DJ. And at the end, I did a rap on the stage with a microphone.
You're going to give us a rap now. You're going to give us a rap now.
No.
You better not, because it tends to get rude.
That's okay. That's okay.
I lose track of what I'm singing, so I just sing anything that rhymes.
I love it. I just noticed that your daughters are taller than both of you. That was interesting. And the heels don't help.
5'11" and 5'10", so got tall girls.
That's so cute. There we go. Who's
That's my niece. That's my sister's daughter. She's the youngest, and we went to go see Father Christmas. And he asked her what does she want for Christmas, and she said, "I want my auntie to have a new heart."
Oh my God!
That was on her wish list. Yeah,
that's so cute. There we go. I have two more. Where was this one? And you have the clock.
That's an afternoon tea. It's the Alice in Wonderland Mad Hatter's tea party. And I thought everyone was going to dress up, and no one did. So I came with a giant clock, and I did have some other props, but I hid them because I got embarrassed that I was the only one.
Why you got embarrassed?
And I did a talk in front of some surgeons and some doctors to talk about for Abbott for the LVAD. Yeah. So
you look good there too with your formal. So this is where we started, and then look at you. So it's quite an inspiration. So I forgot to share that earlier, but that's always what I looked at. It's beautiful, but there was no picture where she was not smiling.
Yeah, but no one smiles. Everyone smiles in photographs.
Not always.
She doesn't like me taking photographs of her. You know, so I have to get the moment and try and take a picture, and then she starts. Yeah.
My appearance has been my biggest since my body's changed. My neck's bigger, my shoulders, everything's more masculine now because of carrying all my equipment. That's been the hardest thing for me, is my appearance. And it's not that I want to look great or anything like that. It's just my body is not the body I had before this. And I get embarrassed. I don't like going out much, socializing other than with my family and close friends, because I don't like the appearance that I am now. It's not what I looked like before I had the LVAD. So I get very, very self-conscious of the way I look. And that's probably been one of the hardest things. And it probably sounds very vain, but my hair's better. Because I lost a lot of hair because I was being sick. So I like my hair now. That's grown. That's lovely. I'm impressed with the hair, but I'm not impressed with the rest.
You see how you don't like the neck, but the hair gets long and it covers your neck, so you're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's vain at all. I don't think it's vain, and I don't think Paul has a problem with it. So you guys, You're the only one
You're
who
right.
probably thinks the problem, huh?
No problem, mate.
Well, we've been married 21 years this year, so
Oh,
he knows he walks
That's not a
along.
reason.
he's a good husband.
That
I
means legs.
Wait, what it? Oh, I thought yeah, is that Anne? No, I think that's very, it's the mental part, but it's cute. It's good to know, and a lot of people don't think about it, so it's important.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I think yeah, I'll let you go back to your message. I think I cut you off, but let me let you know if you had you finish your message before I showed you the pictures. So Paul, would you like to close us off with a last message? I'm sure she didn't say everything.
I haven't really got much to say, but I mean, I think it's brilliant what you're doing. I think that this is what I've wanted her to do from the beginning. Although I haven't pushed it, to be fair. I think this makes it helps talking about stuff. It helps getting it out there, and it's the fact that she's doing this. I'm really, really proud of her for doing it. She takes a lot. She doesn't like to talk about it. She doesn't like for people to worry about it. She doesn't like to put it onto other people. She spends a lot of time covering it up. And to come on to something like this that you've arranged is really good. And I thank you for it, and I appreciate it.
I'm probably going to get all my family messaging me in a minute going, I didn't know you felt like that.
That's the point. That's the goal. And if they do that, I'm happy.
I've blown my cover now.
There you
I'm
go.
exposed.
I'm really happy and really impressed, and I usually, because we are one people, but we belong in a you mentioned community, we belong in a family. So I want to tell Paul that he has a good one, he has a good partner, and you guys are showing it to us. I've been married, I don't even know, we've been married maybe less than 10 years for sure, but I keep telling people, there's a story behind it. There's a whole story. We got married multiple times. We got married 2014, 2016, because it was in Senegal, and then here, and then, so that's why, and then we met 10 years ago, so that I will know for sure. But I usually tell people, it feels like I've been with her forever already, and you guys are talking about 20, so I hope that you give me hope. But thank you so much. I think it means so much to me. Like this moment, this is what it is about, and I think this is my fight to the medical guys and everybody else. Is like, we people first, and then we have a condition, and the thing is, there's gonna be more and more people sick as we grow. It's just the science and everything. So sharing your story is amazing, and that makes a big difference. But also internally in our family, in ourselves, it's important. I think that's, if we have the strong families, we have strong communities, I think everything else will work out. So thanks a lot for this. And, we'll have more, we'll keep watching your story and keep watching you turning the negative to the positive. And then thank you so much.
Right.
And we'll get Anne on this call next time. So tune up for it.
Yeah,
Definitely. And we have
You've got time to prepare.
There you go. She will have time to prepare. No, don't worry. I have my next opening, I will say, is in September, so you have a lot of time. and next week we have your friend Aiste from Lithuania who's coming, so we can have a talking about it. So thank you so much, guys, and you take care.
Yeah, I'm on next week. I'll see you next week.
There you go. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you take care. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Hi, thank you, everyone. This was thanks for listening. This was really great. It was good to listen to Mel and Paul, her husband, and then Anne Buckley also joined in. We had a great conversation, and we had contribution from the family members and some friends. It's a very special story, and she shared on the tough part, including being self-conscious about her image because the body is changing. She's been doing much better, I think, from the mental perspective and a spiritual perspective. It's a physical one, I think, that's been a challenge for her, but she's been able to take care of herself, take care of her house, take care of her family, and then be there for friends and everyone. And at the same time, she's continued to be herself in the same that's a worry for others. and that protective motherly love. So I think if I had a message or if I had a note from this call is that the job to be done, the job we have to do are important. And for her, it was a job of doing, her job was being a parent, being a mother, and that's very important. So I appreciate her sharing the journey for us, and then her sharing a resilience, a fight, despite the condition, despite being sick, despite so many setbacks, she's still able to be there and love and show love and share love with her family and everyone else. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for listening in. This was great. I appreciate it.